Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back. This is part 9 of our Node.js and Express beginner application, or what I call it, from scratch. And we're going to start getting into stuff that's a little more complicated. I kind of feel bad now about calling this a beginner tutorial. I mean, the first few videos were, but now we're starting to get into some more advanced stuff. But I did want to kind of continue the series. I'm guessing there'll be maybe 2 or 3 more videos. Maybe if you guys want it to keep going enough, if enough people want to, then I'll do that. But I want to get it to the point where we have authentication, we can log in, we can create posts, we can edit only our own posts, things like that. So we're going to be using Passport, which is right here, simple, unobtrusive authentication for Node.js. And it's extremely flexible, and there's a lot of different strategies that you can use. We're going to be using what's called a local strategy, meaning that we're going to be storing our username and password inside of a database, inside MongoDB. But you can also use, for instance, a Facebook strategy, so you can use your Facebook login, Twitter. You can use web tokens. So for instance, when we did the mean stack front to back series, we used JWT. We used JSON web tokens so that we could make a request to the API and then return an access key, and we did authentication that way. But since we're keeping everything on the server this time, everything is, in our Node app. We're not going to be using web tokens or anything. We're going to just use a local strategy. So hopefully that makes sense. I did do a 3-video series a little over probably a year and a half ago, called Node.js login system or something like that, and we did this local strategy, but I didn't do it how I should have. I mean, it worked and it's fine, but there's better ways to do it. For instance, I didn't include a Passport config file. I just stuck everything right inside the route, and we don't want to do that. We want to set a configuration file that has all of our Passport stuff inside of it. All right, we just want to clean it up a little bit from what I did in that series. And that's what happens, time goes by and you learn more, and you learn a better way to do things. So hopefully we can do that in this last couple videos. All right, so enough talking. Let's go ahead and get started. So this is the Passport website, and the documentation, I mean, it's okay as far as the code examples that they give us, but it's kind of meshed together. Actually, it's not meshed together. It's the opposite. It's spread apart. So for instance, some of the code is under this authenticate, and then some's going to be under here, and then under user profile, and it's a little hard to follow, at least in my opinion. But what we're going to be doing is using a local strategy. So to do that, we're going to install Passport, the core module, as well as Passport local. And if we look down here, basically we're going to create a strategy, and it's going to, first of all, look for a user by username, that whatever they type in the form, the login form. And if it finds a user, or I'm sorry, if it doesn't find a user, it's going to return with false here, which means that there was no user found. And then if there is a user, it'll bypass this, and it'll go to check the password. And if the password doesn't match, it's going to return done with false. And then if it does match, it'll go on and it'll return done with the actual user. So that's how it tells if the login is correct or not, in a nutshell. So what we're going to do is install a couple modules. Now, in addition to Passport, we're going to use something called bcrypt, which is used to hash passwords, and then it's used to match the hash to whatever the user types in to log in. And we're going to use bcrypt.js, not just regular bcrypt. And the reason for that is because it's much lighter. It's a JavaScript only implementation, and there's no weird dependencies. Whenever I use just regular bcrypt, I always have these strange things, strange dependencies that we need, and errors, and it's just a headache. So let's go ahead and install those things. So we're going to do npm install -- save passport passport - local, and then bcrypt.js. All right, so we'll get those 3 modules installed. And let's see, if we go over here, it should now be in node modules. Let's see, bcrypt.js. All right. So let's, I'm trying to think of where to start here. I mean, I have the code in front of me, but it's a little I don't want it to be too confusing. So let's start with creating a model. Okay, just like we have with our articles, our users need a model to map out the schema and so on. So let's do that. Let's create a new file, and we'll call it user.js. And let's see, we're going to bring in Mongoose. And then we're going to create our schema. So let's say user schema. And we're going to create a variable called user schema. Okay, same thing we did with the articles. Mongoose.schema. Actually, that should be a capital S. Okay, and then we want to throw in here some curly braces, and we're going to have a name field. And this is going to have a type of string, and let's also make this required true. All right, and then let's see, we'll just copy this. Let's paste this in 3 more times. So in addition to the name, we're going to have an email, also a string, a username, and a password. All right, and then we're going to create a variable called user and set it to module.exports, because we want to be able to access this model from outside of this file, obviously. So let's set this to mongoose.model, and then in here we'll pass in the model name, which is user, and then the user schema. All right, and then let's save that. Now for the registration, we shouldn't really have to do anything with Passport, because all we're doing is adding a user. Okay, pretty much just like we did with the articles. Okay, when we go to add articles, we submit a form. Why isn't this running? Oh, I don't have the server running. So we just submit a form, and it goes to a function and or a route, and we go ahead and submit it. So we're going to do the same thing for the registration. So let's go to routes, and we're going to create a new file here, just like we did with articles. Okay, from now on, whatever you add to this application, pretty much whatever resource you add, you're going to have a route file, and you're going to have a model. Okay, as long as it's interacting with data. So this is going to be users.js plural, and let's see, we're going to do pretty much what we did here. Let's go ahead and just copy this. And we'll bring in Express in the router, and then we're going to bring in the user model. So this will be models/user. All right, and then let's see what we want. We want a register route to a get request to the register route or the register URL, so that we can load a form. Okay, so let's just put a comment here. We'll just say register form. So since we're using a routed file here, we're going to say router.get instead of app.get. And it's going to be to /users/register. We don't want to include the /users here, because we're going to route everything that goes to users to this file. All right, and then this is going to have a function with a request and response. And all we're going to do here is res.render. And we're going to render a view called register. So let's save that, and then let's go to our app.js file and go down, let's see, go way down here to where we have our articles routes, and we're going to do the same thing with users. So let's set users to routes/users, and then just like we did here, we're going to route anything that goes to users to that file. All right, and save. So now what we'll do is create the register view. So let's go into views and say new file, register.pug. And just to test this out, let's just say register. And then if we go to users/register, let's see what happens here. String is not defined. What is this? Models. Oh, this should actually be a capital S for string. Let's try that. And let's see, we got another error. Oh, I didn't export the model. Yes, I did. I didn't export the route. That's what I didn't. This file here, the routes/users, needs to have module.exports equals router. All right. Now, hopefully it works. Okay, let's go over here and reload. And I don't see register, and that's probably because we're using Jade, so we wouldn't see it. Let's go back to that page, and let's copy what we have in, let's see, add article, because it's going to be a similar form. I'm just going to grab everything here, and I don't know why, but I forgot we're using Pug, so this isn't going to work. It's going to look at this as a tag, as a register tag. So let's just paste that in. I'm not going to use a dynamic title. We'll just say register. And then this is going to go to users/register, but it's going to be a post request. And obviously we'll have to handle that on the other side. And then for the label, let's say name. And that should be name as well. So we'll have name, we'll have email, and we'll have username. This should actually be an input though. And give it a type. So type text. And then let's just copy this, and we're going to need two more. I don't know why it indents like that. I can't stand that. I'm just going to bring this back. So these fields are going to be the password. So let's change this to password and change this and the type. And then this is going to be the confirm password, because we want to check it just to make sure that they know what they're actually putting in. So that will be for the name, let's call it password2. Alright, and we'll save that. Let's go back to users/register, and now we have a registration form. Alright, so we know that this is going to post to users register, so let's go back to our users routes, and let's create, we'll say register process, and we'll do router.post, and it's just going to be /register. Remember, we don't need to put the users, and then function with a request and response. And then we're going to use validation just like we did with articles. So let's say const name equals, we'll set that to request.body.name. Okay, we want to grab all the fields. So we'll have name, email, username, password, and password2. Okay, so we'll grab those and put them in variables. Then we're going to need the check bodies because we're using Express Validator. So let's say check body name, and then the message, whoops, will just be name is required. Okay, and then we're going to set the rule to not empty. So let's copy this. 2, 3, 4, 5, and this is going to be email. Okay, and we're going to set that to not empty, and then we want another email. And this one is going to be to check the actual email address, make sure it's valid. So we'll say email is not valid. And the rule for that is going to be is email. Okay, and then after that, we're going to have the username, and that's going to be required. And then we're going to have password, and that's going to be required. And then we want to match the password to password 2. So the way that we do that, actually that should be a lowercase p, and then this is going to be password 2, and the message is going to be passwords do not match. And then the rule for that is going to be equals, and then it takes a parameter of the field that you actually want to match, which is going to be request.body.password to password. Alright, so that should do it for that. Now we want to get the errors if there are any, so let's say let errors equals request.validation errors, and then we want to check for them. This will be an if else. So we'll say if there are errors, then what do we want to do? We just want to re-render the template, right? So res.render register, and we want to pass along the errors as well. Okay. And then if everything goes okay and the validation passes, we're going to submit a new user. So let's create a variable called new user. And actually let's use a let for that. So let new user equals new user. Remember, we brought the model in so we can do this. And then we want to pass in the fields, so name, which will be equal to the name variable above, and email, and password. Okay, so there's our object. We're saying new user. Now, before we submit this, before we actually call new user.save, we need to hash the password, and we brought in bcrypt up here, right? No, we didn't. So we do need to bring that in. So let's say bcrypt, and that's gonna bcrypt equals require, and make sure in here you put bcrypt.js. And then down here, right after where we create the new user, we're going to say bcrypt, and it has a function called gen_salt, and that's going to generate the salt. And we're going to say it's going to be 10 characters, and then we have a callback, and that's going to actually give us the salt. So we'll have an error if there is one, and then the salt. Alright, and then we want to call another function, which is going to be bcrypt.hash, which does just that. It'll hash the password. So it's going to take in the actual password, which is going to be, we'll be able to access from new user.password. Okay, so whatever is typed in the form is going to be put here, the password, and then we're actually going to run it through this hash, and it's going to give us that back. Okay, now we have to pass in the salt, and then we'll have a callback. Okay, and that will take error and the hash. And we just want to check for that error. And let's see, you can handle this how you want. I'm just going to console.log. And then let's set new user.password. Okay, instead of it having it be the plain text, which it is at this point, we're going to set it to the hash. Okay, hopefully you understand what just happened. So we submit the password, plain text. It's still plain text here. Then we generate the salt. Then we call the hash, pass in the salt along with the plain text password, gives us a hash back, and we set new password, new user.password to hash. All right, now we're ready to call the save method. So we can say new user.save. All right, and that's going to take callback and an error. If there is one, we'll check for that error. And let's see, we'll just console.log, and we'll return there. Oh, and then we just want to do else. You guys can handle errors however you want. If you want to do it a little more elegantly, then you can do that. But If it passes, we're going to send out a flash message, and we're going to say, let's see, this is going to be a success message, and we're going to say you are now registered and can log in. Okay, and then we'll just redirect, and we're going to redirect to the login page, which we didn't create yet, but we will. user/login. All right, let's save that. Now, just so this actually functions how we want it to and actually redirects and shows the message, let's just create the login route. So we'll go to our users. Actually, we're already in the users route, but we'll go under the register, which is right here, and then we'll just say router.get, and this is going to be to login. Oh, that's not right. Function. And let's see, request response, and all we're going to do is render the login template. All right, so let's go to views and say new file, login.pug, and let's copy what's in the register.pug. Okay, and then we'll paste that in, and we're just gonna, let's change this, and then we only want the username and password, so we're gonna get rid of these, get rid of this, and it's gonna post to user/login. All right, so at least now we have the view. So if we go to user/login, that works. Good. So now let's try the registration. Username, I'll just say Brad. Password, I'm doing 1 2 3 4 5 6, but it should get hashed. Submit. Name is required. Passwords do not match. Let's see. Let's go to our registration template. So input name equals password. Name equals password 2. Name equals username. So those look good. Let's go to our route now where we're submitting it to. And for some reason it's not. Check body. Username, password. What the hell? Name is required. Oh, this should be lowercase. And then, let's see, why isn't that one working? Maybe my passwords really didn't match. Let's save that and we'll try this again. One, two, three, four, five, six. Submit. Passwords do not match. Password 2 should be the name of, right here, password 2. Sometimes I wish I live stream these things so you guys could point out my stupid errors. Because you guys, I'm sure most, you know, some of the times you guys already see what the hell's wrong. Password 2 is the name. And password 2 and equals required. Oh, there's 3 S's. Jesus. And this should be GenSalt. I don't know why I put get salt. Because it generates the salt. We pass it in here. And this should actually be error. ERR. It's been a long day. And I did the same thing here. Okay, whatever's here. If that said error, then this should be error, but it should match. And I think that should be good. Let's try it out. So let's see. I'm just going to refresh this page. Submit. Cannot get user login. Why? Oh, user. It should be users. Let's see, right here should be users/login. All right. Last time, hopefully. You are now registered. Oh, so you know what? I think I just submitted it twice, but that's fine. At least we know it works. Well, we don't know yet. Let's take a look at the database. So I'm going to just open up the standard Windows command line so I can go to the Mongo shell. We want to run this as administrator, and let's go into MongoDB/bin Mongo, and let's say use. We named it node KB, and let's do db.users.find. Yeah, see, it went in twice. So I'm just gonna delete one of these. So we'll say db.users.remove, and we want to match _ID, and we want to match it to one of these object IDs. So I'm just gonna Control-C, copy that, put that in there. And now we should only have one. Good. And look at the password. It's a long, very secure hash. So we now have full registration in our application. Now, last thing I want to do in this video is just put a register link over here. So let's go to layout. And sorry about that. What I'm going to do is just go right here, and let's create another UL. So it'll be nav-navbar, and then navbar-right. List item and link. Okay, this is going to go to /users/register. All right, we might as well put the login link as well. All right, let's reload. And that's wrong for some reason. UL navbar. What the hell? Oh, this is backwards. It should be navbar-nav. Wow, I'm making a lot of mistakes in this video, guys. Hopefully I haven't lost you. All right, so register, we have that. Login doesn't work yet, but we'll get to that in the next video. So I'm going to stop it here. It's getting late. It's been a very long day, and I will continue this in the morning, and I'll try to get the login video out as well. All right, thanks for watching, guys, and I will see you then.